Charlie glanced at the clock on the dashboard. It was 20 minutes past 12. He knew every turn of this route by heart because he had been taking it for 8 years. His bus always arrived on time, without any delays or deviations from the schedule. "Next stop is Cleveland Avenue," he announced into the microphone, staring at the road ahead. Mrs. Henderson, who drove this route every day, nodded in approval. "You can always count on your punctuality, Charlie." He only smiled weakly in response. The management of the transportation company was strict about any violation of the schedule. Last month, a co-worker of his was fired for being late 3 times. Suddenly, Charlie noticed a man on the crosswalk. He stood there motionless, holding a white cane, and cars just passed him without even slowing down. "Oh my God," Charlie muttered, feeling his heart start to beat faster. There were at least 30 passengers in the cabin. Some of them were already looking nervously at their watches. Charlie knew that if he stopped, he would be behind schedule, but he slammed on the brakes and stopped the bus in the middle of the road. He immediately heard the horns of the cars behind him. "Sorry for the delay," he said into the microphone and ran out of the cab. "Let me help you," Charlie said softly to the man, gently touching his elbow. "Thank you," the man replied gratefully. "My name is Adam. I've been trying to cross for a few minutes now." Charlie slowly walked him across the street, feeling the irritated stares of drivers and passengers. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed a young man inside the bus filming everything on his phone. "Take care," Charlie said to Adam and hurried back to the bus. When he got back behind the wheel, he could feel his hands shaking. Charlie knew that the video would definitely get to the bosses, and then, well, he knew how that would end. "I'm sorry for the delay," he said again, starting to walk away. "I ask for your understanding." There was a tense silence in the cabin. Only Mrs. Henderson spoke softly. "You did the right thing, Charlie, no matter what." Charlie walked slowly up the stairs to his apartment. The clock on the wall showed almost 9 in the evening. He had stayed late at work, trying to collect his thoughts after everything that had happened. When he opened the door, he immediately heard his wife's excited voice. "Charlie, you're finally home!" Mary came out of the kitchen, drying her hands with a towel. "I was getting worried. Emma asked about you before she went to bed." He tried to smile, but it didn't come out very convincingly. Mary immediately felt something was wrong. "What's wrong?" She came closer, looking into his face. Charlie sank heavily into his chair. "I've been summoned to the head office tomorrow, at 9 in the morning." Mary froze. She knew very well that such calls never bode well. "Because of what happened today?" she asked quietly. "You're going to tell me, aren't you?" Charlie sighed and briefly recounted the events of the morning. With every word he said, Mary's face grew paler and paler. "Oh my God, Charlie," she whispered, sitting down next to him. "What's going to happen now?" He took her hand. "Someone made a video. It's already on the internet. I've seen the comments. People write different things. Some are supportive, but most are outraged by the delay." "But you helped a person." Mary's voice trembled. "Can they really?" She didn't finish, but they both knew what was coming next. "Release." The word hung in the air, heavy and threatening. "We have a mortgage." Mary stood up and began to pace the room nervously. "And Emma's medication. They went up again last month. You know, without them—" "I know," Charlie interrupted her abruptly. The thought of her daughter and her illness was unbearable. Mary suddenly stopped. "What about talking to Mr. Richards? He's known you for so many years. You've never been late, always." "No," Charlie shook his head. "Richards doesn't make decisions anymore. The new director, Mr. Walker, is in charge now. I've never even met him." A faint cough came from the children's room. Mary flinched. "Emma's awake. I'll go check on her." Charlie was left alone. He took out his phone and opened the video again. It had already gotten thousands of views. "Irresponsible driver stops bus in the middle of the road," the headline read. People were arguing in the comments. Some wrote about humanity, others about disrupting the schedule and creating an emergency. "Dad?" His daughter's quiet voice made him flinch. Emma stood in the doorway, pale and thin in her pink pajamas. "What are you doing up, sweetheart?" Charlie tried to make his voice sound cheerful. "I heard you two talking." The girl came closer. "Are you going to lose your job because you helped someone?" Charlie's heart sank. At 11 years old, Emma was sometimes too mature. "Don't worry about it," he hugged his daughter. "Everything will be fine." "Promise?" she whispered. Charlie didn't answer. He couldn't lie to his own child. Mary returned from the kitchen with a cup of tea. "Emma, you need to sleep. The doctor is coming tomorrow morning." After her daughter left, the couple sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Mary spoke. "No matter what happens tomorrow, I'm with you, Charlie. We'll figure something out." He squeezed her hand. A new message came to the phone. From Mr. Walker himself. "I expect you at 9 sharp. No tardiness will be tolerated." That night, Charlie slept very little. He lay there staring into the darkness, thinking about all the years he had spent with the company, about the people he transported every day, about the moment at the crosswalk when he saw the blind man. Would he have acted differently if he had known the consequences? And again, Emma's pale face, the empty shelves in the medicine cabinet, the apartment bills came to mind. At 6 in the morning, he got up quietly, trying not to wake Mary. She woke up anyway. "So early." "I want to be early," he replied, buttoning his shirt. "Maybe I can talk to someone from the union before the meeting." Mary got out of bed. "I'll make you breakfast." "No need," he shook his head. "I'm not hungry." "Charlie," she went over and adjusted his tie with trembling hands. "No matter what they say, you did the right thing. I'm proud of you." He kissed her on the forehead and walked out, trying not to think that this might be the last time he would ever put on a city transit driver's uniform. The office door closed behind Charlie with a dull thud. He stood in the corridor clutching a paper envelope with a notice of dismissal. 30 days' notice. That's how long he was given to find a new job. "Mr. Walker, please," his voice broke. "I have a sick daughter." "Unfortunately, the rules are the same for everyone," the director cut him off. "You may leave." Charlie slowly walked to the exit, not noticing anyone around him. His thoughts were confused. How to tell Mary? What to do about the loan? Where to look for a new job at his age? Wait. He flinched in surprise. That voice. Charlie turned around and saw a man in an impeccable navy blue suit. Next to him was a young woman in business attire and 2 men with professional cameras. "Adam?" Charlie said in disbelief. "But how?" "I've been looking for you." Adam moved confidently in his direction, leaning on an elegant cane. "Yesterday's video went viral. It only took me a few hours to find your company." The woman next to him stepped forward. "Allow me to introduce myself. Olivia Grant, a lawyer for Mr. Adam King. Yes, the King of King Technologies." Charlie felt the floor leave his feet. Adam King is one of the most influential businessmen in the city. His company developed innovative technologies for people with disabilities. "Mr. Walker," Adam called out loudly, "I think we need to talk." The CEO, who was just leaving his office, froze in his tracks. His face changed when he recognized the famous businessman. "Mr. King? What an unexpected honor." "Really?" Adam's voice took on an icy edge. "I thought you were expecting my visit. You're going to fire the man who saved me from a possible accident yesterday, aren't you?" The reporters immediately turned on their cameras. Olivia Grant took out her tablet. "We have some interesting statistics about accidents at this intersection. 5 accidents in the last year, 2 pedestrian accidents. And this is despite the fact that there is a regulated crosswalk there. Listen," Mr. Walker nervously adjusted his tie. "This is an internal company matter. Our rules." "Your rules?" Adam interrupted him. "What about humanity? Yesterday, your driver did what dozens of others should have done. He was the only one who stopped, and you want to punish him for that? Charlie stood there in disbelief. Everything was happening as if in a dream. Mr. King, the principal tried to smile. Perhaps we should discuss this in my office. Oh no, Adam shook his head. I think the public has a right to know how your company treats its employees. Olivia, tell me what we're planning. The lawyer nodded. King Technologies is planning to launch a new project, a pedestrian crossing safety system. We were looking for a transportation company to cooperate with. But after what happened, Mr. Walker turned pale. Perhaps we jumped the gun on Mr. Ben. Charlie, Adam suggested. The man who yesterday reminded everyone that schedules and rules can't be more important than life. You know, I lost my sight 5 years ago, an accident, and since then, I have been facing indifference every day. People walk by pretending not to notice. Yesterday, a bus driver showed me that things can be different. Reporters were eagerly hanging on his every word. Charlie noticed that the office staff was gathering in the lobby. If you fire this man, Adam continued, I will personally file a lawsuit against your company. And believe me, reputational damage will be the least of your problems. Mr. Walker licked his dry lips. Perhaps we could reconsider our decision. Oh, you're not just reconsidering, Adam smiled. You will publicly acknowledge that Charlie did the right thing. And what's more, you're going to start a training program for your drivers to help people with special needs. King Technologies is ready to fund this initiative. What do you think? The hall was silent. All eyes were on the director. He wiped his sweaty forehead. That's a very generous offer, Mr. King. Then don't waste any time. Adam held out his hand toward Charlie. Give this man his papers back and apologize. Now. Charlie watched as Mr. Walker clumsily took the papers out of the envelope and tore them to pieces. His head was spinning from everything that was happening. I'm sorry, Charlie, the principal muttered. I was wrong. Adam nodded in satisfaction. That's better. Now, Charlie, why don't we talk over coffee? I think we have a lot to talk about. Charlie sat in the kitchen stirring the tea. Mary was fussing around, wiping the already clean plates and adjusting the curtains. For the third time, she was telling her neighbor on the phone the incredible events of that day. No, Betty, can you imagine? Adam King himself. Her voice trembled with excitement. Yes, the same one. No, Charlie's not kidding. I saw the video on the news. Emma peeked out of her room. Dad, is it true that everything is going to be okay now? Charlie tried to smile. It looks like it, sweetheart. At least I didn't lose my job. And that guy you helped, is he really that rich? Emma, Mary said sternly, ending the conversation. That's no way to talk. Suddenly the doorbell rang. Mary jumped and quickly fixed her hair. Oh my God, who could it be at this hour? Charlie got up and went to answer the door. Adam King was standing on the doorstep with his assistant Olivia by his side. Without cameras and reporters, he looked less impressive, but he still exuded a certain special confidence. Good evening, Charlie, Adam smiled. I'm sorry for the late visit. May I come in? Mary froze in the hallway, clutching her hand to her chest. Emma peeked out from behind her mother, her eyes wide. Of course, come in, Charlie stepped aside. Only we don't have the place cleaned up. Oh, don't worry. Adam waved him off. I don't see any mess anyway. Olivia rolled her eyes but held back a smile. He seemed to be used to such jokes. Mrs. Donovan? Adam turned his head toward Mary. It's a pleasure to meet you. You have a very brave husband. Thank you, Mary mumbled. Thank you, but we won't be long. Adam took an envelope from his pocket. Charlie, you said something important this morning, about your daughter. Emma took a step forward. It's me. My name is Emma. That's a beautiful name, Adam nodded. How old are you, Emma? 11. I have trouble breathing, but Dad says it's only temporary. Mary sobbed softly. Charlie felt his heart clench. Olivia, Adam said to his assistant. Tell me about our medical foundation. The woman opened her tablet. King Technologies has an employee family support program. It includes full medical insurance, including rare diseases and chronic conditions. Employees, Charlie asked again. But Adam handed him an envelope. There are 2 documents here. The first is a check. Consider it compensation for moral damages from your company. I insisted that they do so. Charlie opened the envelope and almost dropped the papers. The amount was unbelievable. It's too much. That's fair, Adam interrupted. And the second document is a job offer. I need a personal driver, someone who knows how to make the right decisions in difficult situations. Mary came closer, peering over her husband's shoulder. Oh my God! Charlie, that's 3 times your current salary, Olivia finished calmly. Plus a full social package, health insurance for the whole family, and the possibility of career growth. But why me? Charlie still couldn't believe what was happening. Adam got serious. You know, Charlie, when I lost my eyesight, I thought I had lost everything. But then I realized that it gave me a different vision. I learned to distinguish people not by their appearance but by their actions. Yesterday you could have driven past me like dozens of others did, but you stopped. You risked your job for a stranger. I need people like that. Dad, Emma whispered, would you agree? Charlie looked at his wife. There were tears in her eyes, but she was smiling. I need to think about it, he finally said. Of course, Adam nodded. You have until tomorrow. Olivia, leave Mr. Donovan your number. After they left, the family sat in the kitchen for a long time in silence. Emma was the first to break the silence. Dad, that man, he's like a superhero, right? Charlie shook his head. No, sweetheart, he's just a man who knows the value of kindness. Mary took his hand. I don't know, Charlie answered honestly. It's all a bit much, but this is a chance, she said quietly. For all of us, especially for Emma. Charlie looked at his daughter. She didn't look so pale anymore. Perhaps it was the lighting, or perhaps it was the hope that had appeared in her eyes. You know, he suddenly said, when I stopped the bus yesterday, I wasn't thinking about any reward. It just felt right. That's why he chose you, Mary smiled. Good deeds have a way of coming back. 3 months passed. Charlie stopped a black Mercedes at the entrance to the medical center. He quickly got out and opened the back door. We're here, Mr. King. Thank you, Charlie. Adam deftly got out of the car. What time is my next meeting again? 4 o'clock at the Wilson and Partners office. But before that, Olivia asked me to stop by to pick up some documents. Charlie was still surprised at how quickly his life had changed. The new suit still seemed unusual and the elegant car seemed too luxurious after the old bus. But it was something else that amazed him the most. Hi, Dad. Emma ran out of the clinic door, her cheeks rosy with excitement. Mary followed. How was the checkup? Charlie asked, hugging his daughter. The doctor says I can sign up for dancing, the girl burst out. Can you believe it? Mary wiped her eyes. The new medicine is working wonders. Dr. Peterson says that the numbers are much improved. That's great news, Adam smiled. By the way, Emma, how are you enjoying your new school? The girl jumped up and down. We have the best music teacher, and do you know what? He can't see like you either. Emma pointed out, but Adam laughed. It's okay, Mrs. Donovan. Children always tell the truth. That's one of the reasons I love being around them. Charlie watched this scene and thought about the day he first stopped the bus in the middle of the road. Then he was afraid of losing his job, and now, Charlie, Adam's voice brought him back to reality. Let's go to the office. I have something important to discuss. After saying goodbye to the family, they moved on. In the car, Adam was silent for a long time, and then suddenly said, You know, I heard that City Transit really introduced that driver training program. Yeah, Charlie nodded. Mr. Walker personally called me and invited me to speak to the newcomers, to tell them about the incident. And what did you say? I agreed. I think it's important to share your experience. Adam tapped his fingers thoughtfully on the armrest. Aren't you sorry you left there? After all, 15 years. Charlie thought about it. He often remembered his old route, the passengers he knew by sight, even the smell of the bus. I miss it sometimes, he answered honestly. But now I realize that sometimes you need to go off the beaten path to find the right one. A philosopher, Adam hummed. Speaking of paths, I want to offer you a new position. Charlie looked in the rearview mirror in surprise. But, yes, you're an excellent driver, but I can see that you can do more. How about the position of our transportation coordinator? You'll be responsible for the company's entire fleet and train new drivers. I don't know if I can handle it. I do, Adam said firmly. When you lose your sight, you start to trust your intuition more. And my intuition tells me that you are exactly the person we need. They arrived at the office. Charlie opened the door for Adam, and as he got out, he added, "Think about it. Also, thank you for reminding me that sometimes you just have to stop and help someone else, even if it breaks all the rules." That night, Charlie came home earlier than usual. Emma was sitting at the piano, a gift from Adam for her 12th birthday. Her fingers touched the keys tentatively, producing a simple melody. "How are you doing?" he asked, kissing the top of his daughter's head. "Slowly, but the teacher says I have talent." She looked up at him. "Dad, is it true that everything changed in one day?" Charlie sat down next to her. "Not quite, sweetheart. Everything changed because of one act. But you know what? The most important thing is to be yourself, even when life takes a new turn." Mary looked out of the kitchen. "Dinner's ready." I realized one important thing. There are no small or big good deeds. There are just moments when you can do something important for someone else. And you just have to not be afraid to do it," Charlie replied.